A local government election, are there really elections at local government levels?
That's the question.
There are no elections.
That's a different kind of fish entirely. Because INEC will tell us, okay, you want to respond to that?
No. That's a $1 million question.
Is there any state government that
But it looks as if you agree that there are no elections.
Because they don't look like elections. Honestly, let's just be honest with ourselves. When you have such outcomes of elections, anything could happen. In fact, you are talking about underage. You can have even under anything in such as the input to such elections. In fact, in some cases, they don't even vote at all.
So, but why is it that we don't have? Why do we have to travel to where we register to vote? Why can't we just register and vote wherever we are?
Well, that's the law as it is as of today. Constituency is a major issue. Or else you just discover that there might be one constituency where you have 1 million people deciding who is there, and then there might be some places where there are no voters at all. The laws are there. We are guided by the laws, just like I told you. The law says you must register. I mean, definitely we have 120,000 polling units. The law is that you must register in one of them. The choice is yours. And what we have encouraged people to do is to register in places which is convenient for them to vote. Most people will go and register in their place of work, and meanwhile, they have the intention of voting somewhere else.
Mr. Shelby, what do you expect? I'm at work and there's a registration area close by. I close from work. A lot of people close from work late. You expect them by the time they are getting there, they may not meet the registration officials, and then that goes on until eventually it stops. So what do you expect them to do?
Honestly, I sympathize with those men, security men. We are in the minority. You will see that even some states give about 2 days or 3 days holidays for them to achieve this. Public holidays, go and register. We give room for this. There is the law and it must be obeyed. The first one is the constituency. The second one is the polling unit. You must be domesticated in a particular polling unit. And that choice of polling unit is yours. I know some people find it difficult to register because of the nature of their work. Instead, one thing which is very, very important, that some people, there's a lot of migration in Nigeria. Look at what happened in the last, we're talking about uncollected PVCs. We registered in the early months of 2011, January and February. These cards did not come out until 2015. A lot of students have passed out. A lot of coppers have gone back to their works or to their areas. A lot of people have been transferred. I mean, morbidly too, some people have died. So you will say that the mobility is huge, and that's one thing we are not looking at. But what you are trying to say is that register in a place that is convenient for you. If you have any cause to move, go to a local government area and go and do a sort of shift in your posting or your. That's a transfer of your voting right. A lot of people have done that, as we are talking now, even with the continuous voters registration.
But why are the cards coming out late? That's the question that people are asking, because you have people already applied for the cards or have gone through the process of getting the cards and have to wait for months in some cases before they get their cards out.
Number one, we have to go through what we call AFIS. We have to make sure that you are not registered 2 times, multiple. We have call it the deep duplication process.
Even though some states
that's the front end for us. At the back end, there is a lot of work to be done to the cards. We have to really make sure that you are deduplicated. In 2011 alone, you could see that we talked about 800 and something multiple registrants. We were able to detect that because the card had to go back to the back end for what we call the fingerprint identification system, the AFIS. It has to go through the back end corridor, and that itself takes time. We have the largest presidential system outside the United States of America. We are talking of about, so I saw it in a newspaper yesterday that we have registered 4 million. Exactly in this CVR, we have registered 5.1 million. That is the voting strength of about 8 different West African countries. As I'm talking
Is that
to
of
you.
those who just turned 18 or those who have never registered before?
Those who turned 18, those who are coming into the country, those who just generated interest in the something, but mostly those coming, turning 18. 5.1. We projected we are going to have about 15 million, and the projection is something.
Before we go on break, let me ask you, what do you think about INEC's registration process so far? I mean, there have been complaints about, you go to some registration centers, like one in Sule, for instance, where they were told that they register only 40 people per day. What do you think about the registration process so far?
Well, we've had a couple of complaints from people all over the Federation with regards to how difficult it's been for them to register. And I'm glad he's here. He's actually picking some of the complaints. I think it should be made more fluid. Some centers, you get there, it's difficult for you to register. It's difficult for you to do most of the things that the claim should be done. So I think that should be very much revisited by INEC. But most importantly, what I expect to see is to have a total transformation of INEC, which is what I'm looking at in 2019 by the grace of God. We should have a situation where you can cast your ballot anywhere you are, in Nigeria or even in the diaspora, with your card. We don't have to shut down the system. We could cast a ballot maybe over 2-3 days, cast your vote and go to work. You don't have to close down anywhere. And I think this is the kind of a thing that Mr. Shebe and his team should be looking at, whatever it is needed to get that done. If the political will is there from the top, it will be there. But right now we have a lot of bottleneck.
Talking about what INEC needs to do to make it easier and make the process smoother. But he says, as it is, if the law hasn't been changed, there's nothing they can do about that.
That's why I was talking about the political will. And that's actually one of the things I expected this administration to do when they came up on board in 2015. What we have at the moment is not the way things should be. We have a situation where our electoral processes are a far cry from the expectations of the people. And it's important that we are able to have a process that will carry the people along, that will make the people functional at the polling, that will make their voting to count, that will make it easy for them to cast their ballot wherever they are. And that is what I actually expected from the executive, to initiate the bill, if it has to be passed with the National Assembly, for it to be passed. But that hasn't been done.
Speaking about the people and the law, because one of the requirements already is that if you want to vote somewhere, you go ahead and transfer. But I've got Paul Chukwueke here who says he's made the application to transfer his registration from Yobe to Lagos for 4 years without results. He says he only has a temporary card. What should he do if he wants to vote in 2019?
In fact, he should go down to the Lagos office and make a case. He should go to the Lagos office, mention my name, that he should make a case for himself. They will transfer him.
But why
You see, he doesn't have to do that. Because if he's talking about 4 years, that's a far cry. Because we have seen people who have transferred very recently. We have it here. The number we have had successful transfers. But if we are in a very difficult issue like that, you should go to the Lagos office and then complain to them that I want to transfer from Lagos. I can't go to Yobe. What do I do? They will try to find a way of doing it for him. We know cases like that. People, especially these youth corpers, who went out to serve probably in a far place and they're back home. They registered there. We encourage him to go back for the transfer. He should not be tempted to try to do a different registration. He already has a unique number. He should just go for the transfer and then go to where he wants to transfer and then make sure that he states his case. There are people like that.
You know, I was going to, when you said he should go to the Lagos office and mention your name.
No, that's just the tactics of making sure that he gets isolated. I was particularly touched by the fact that he's been trying for 4 years.